There's so much about believing in yourself and believing that you can do it your own way. I think when you're younger, you're just more afraid to do that because it's just not as proven. But I think when you're around for a while and you try different things and then you're like, oh, well, this is my one life. I gotta be able to be proud of my work. And, you know, what does that mean?
Hi, I'm Marjan Neshat, and I'm an actress. I'm doing the unexpected by playing Sandra. There's not a lot of quote-unquote Middle Eastern actors who would be playing a woman named Sandra Jones. I remember a friend of mine when I got this play was like, oh, well, maybe if they've cast you, they'll change the name from Sandra to something more Middle Eastern. And I was like, I didn't go to acting school to play myself. I was born in Iran. And at the time, the revolution was happening and everything changed. And the revolution turned into a coup. And one day, my sister was walking us down the street and this van pulled up. And they were like yelling at her that this thing called a manto, like an overcoat basically, wasn't buttoned enough and her scarf wasn't forward enough. And I thought they were gonna take her. And I just started screaming my head off. And after that, I think we came to Seattle. My sister's a doctor, like all good Iranian girls. I mean, I think that she would have pursued medicine and that it was her thing, but I think she also didn't feel like she had the room to rebel in any way or have that time for self-discovery, because I think there is this pressure of like, you get this opportunity, you better do something with it. You know, whereas I think when I came, I was much younger and, you know, I had parents who were immigrants who were afraid of everything. So I was on the outside. I just constantly felt like I'm other. And I started to audition for plays and I did my first play when I was 14. And it was the first experience I'd ever had of not being on the outside. It was like my first experience of not feeling lonely. The first time I told my mom, she was like, people in our family don't do this. But I pursued it so doggedly, and I was like, I'm doing this. And ultimately, they became very supportive of me.
I was about to have my first public reading in New York at Ensemble Studio Theater. And I was hesitant, but partly because this part, Afia, who's the lead character in the play, in a lot of ways, like spiritually, all of these women like are the women in my family. And I was just so nervous, like who was the person that was gonna come in and be able to like deliver this part? And then Marjan read it. And I just remember this like welling up of emotion because I think there was a recognition that in her I had really found a creative partner, someone that knew who these women were and that challenged a lot of our, I think, stereotypical notions of what women from the Middle East or Southeast Asia are like. And she's just phenomenal. So from that point on, like, I just try to work with Marjan whenever I can.
Sylvia does not suffer fools. I think, especially as a young woman, I think you tend to be pushed around by a lot of people with power saying, well, you should do this, or if you really want to succeed, you got to do this. And she sticks to her guns in a way I've never, ever seen. It is remarkable. For a long time, when I started out, there was this thing of like, well, we'll save you for the Middle Eastern part. And a lot of times, what the Middle Eastern parts were tasked with is to give a lesson and not be a fully dynamic, complicated, raunchy, funny human being.
Like, it's sad to even say it, but sometimes you have to remind people that these women exist. I think we have these ideas of like what women in the Middle East and Southeast Asia are, which is like demure or retreating, and it's just the opposite is true. They're strong women holding their own and often taking care of all the people around them.
If you show people in one light all the time, people assume that's what they are. And like, you have to give people examples of how they can be anything, because that's what they need to do in order to grow.
And I think that's what you get when you welcome people to the table with a multitude of different experiences, is you have those stories treated with care and with respect so that they don't become maudlin, melodramatic. They just stay practical. I say this a lot. I think that theater is the place that we go to examine ourselves and for society to examine itself. And what does it mean if what we're seeing on stage doesn't reflect society? Like, then we have a big problem.
Obviously, there needs to be breakthroughs. It can't just be that every time you do a play about a family, it's a white family with 3 blonde women. That is not the fabric of what we look like. Part of breaking the rules, like really helping people develop and understand what their role is and could be. Like if there's room to do it differently, I think we have to support and empower that. Go out and meet more people and connect with more people and take more risks and work harder. I'm honored to be part of World Woman Hour. If in any way I can be a small part of helping anyone else or making the world slightly better, I couldn't ask for something more meaningful or important.